Good morning, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to another day, the second day of the Blockchain Economy Summit 2021, sponsored by Fasset and brought to you by Inspiring Bangladesh, UNL, and eCab, as well as partnership with ICT. Good morning. I'd just like to say that today's session is a little bit different. We'll be speaking about NFTs, or non-fungible tokens. Many of us may not know what an NFT is, but the fact is that it can be said that NFTs are revolutionizing the art world today. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as we get in. But first, let's introduce our speakers for the day. With us today, we have an amazing bunch of artists, musicians, and other performers. We have Fuad Almuqtadir, record producer, composer, and songwriter. Nazia Andaleeb Preema, President, Women in Leadership, and also a performance artist, I believe, and an artist. Kazi Istela, a freelance graphic designer, illustrator. Sharjeel Karim joins us from the advertising industry. He's the managing director of Interspeed. Vinita Karim, freelance artist. And as well, we have Fawaz Rob, printmaker and curator from a left printmaking studio, and also an architect. Yeah, so let's just get started. I think, why don't we go one by one? And what I'd like you guys to do is just introduce yourselves, tell us a little bit about you and your life in art. And then I'd like to know how how digitalization or digital media has changed the art world, in your opinion, in the last 20 years or so, since we've had the advent of the internet. So let's start with Preema. Preema, why don't you start us off? Art world, in your opinion, in the last 20 years or so, since we've had the advent of the internet.
Is there any backstage sound? Okay. Hi, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, everybody. Hi. Great to see you all. Thank you. I think it's a very important topic and a very contemporary one as well. NFT is really a revolutionary step that we are getting in. So as you said, in fact, as an artist myself, I started doing digital art back in 2000. So, and I remember 2000 was the year I launched my digital art website, and that was the virtual exhibition happened in 2000 virtually, which was definitely not acceptable for the local Bangladesher platform. Eta accept korchilo na kewi, because there were no such platform then, and there were no transaction system. But anyhow, I managed. But I want to share how I managed. Before that, I want to just little bit brief about my practice. I am a visual artist and also entrepreneur. And I think I'm a cultural influencer, because every step that I involve in my work and art, it's influencing the culture in a broader spectrum. So when I did that, I remember back in 2000, আমার আসলে কোনোভাবেই ট্রানজাকশন হচ্ছিল না বাইরে থেকে যারা আমার আর্টগুলো কিনতে চাচ্ছিল থ্রু website, they couldn't really purchase or own those art, digital art, because of definitely we didn't have it. We will discuss it later. এখনো যে অবস্থা আমাদের, সো তখন যেটা আমি করছিলাম আমার মনে আছে ব্যাংকের মাধ্যমে, there is a পিন কোড ছিল, ব্যাংক এসসিবি আমাকে একটা পিন কোড দিল, সো ওই পিন কোডের মাধ্যমে ক্লায়েন্টরা আমাকে টাকাটা মানে ফান্ডটা ব্যাংকে দিত, এন্ড আমি ওই ব্যাংকে যে আগে কনফার্ম করতাম the fund is there, and then I emailed them the JPG file. I still remember, and there is no copyright. ওটা কতবার কপি করতেছে, কতবার ইউজ করছে, I had no clue. So, and then later on, after 2 years, I found one Bangladeshi individual actually used that on my name, and he got a website যেখানে bunch of my creation were there, and I got connected with him. He was a genuine guy, nice person, but he didn't know the copyright thing. He thought that it's owned by everybody, it can own by everybody. So that was the problem. So then definitely we had a nice conversation, and I tell him not to use it. But these were the thing I faced to back in 2000, and after that, now we are in 2021, which is like 21 years later, and it's still there. I think we are still there, but thanks to the digital technology and revolution that we are here talking and having this session, which is very, very crucial and important. And মানে আরেকটা যেটা আমার আর্ট ফর্ম পারফরমেন্স, সেটারও একটা ক্লু দিতে চাই যে পারফরমেন্স ইজ আ বডি জেস্চার which connect with the space and the time. So which my gesture is sellable, my posture is sellable through practicing performance, but etar kono copyright nai, so I cannot sell them online and I cannot give it to anybody. So this is stuck somewhere. So last year I went to Brussels to talk about before last year, in 2019, they asked me to invite me in Brussels to talk about how to sell performance gesture. So what I did in Bangladesh, that I sell my hour to the corporates. So they bought my hours, not the pictures. So we actually came out with different alternative sell and buy procedure, which is kind of cryptocurrency, but then again it was just organically developed, not through a policy or sustainable systemer মাধ্যমে এটা করা ছিল না. So thank you for inviting me here, and I think we're going to have a very amazing discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. That's an amazing story of your journey into digital art and how you adopted so early, and here we are 20 years later, finally, smart contracts and blockchain technology is giving us the ability to automate all of that so that you don't have to worry and think about it anymore. Next, I'd like to go to Vinita Karim. Vinita, why don't you tell us, you're also a visual artist, and you do paintings, I believe, mostly, and that's one of your paintings behind you as well, which I have seen before, something very similar. So yeah, please tell us about you, your journey, and how digitization has helped or hindered you.
Hi everybody, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, fine. It's great to be on this panel. I also feel it's kind of like not only futuristic, I think it is very much from zeitgeist, this is the feeling of today, what is happening right now. And the whole world is changing so rapidly. And as artists also, we need to stay in pace with them. And yeah, I haven't really done much in the digital world, but I've been reading about the NFTs and I found it really interesting. And basically, I don't do digital art at all. I do mostly painting and sculpture. But I was looking at different platforms and I saw some artists, how they have applied NFTs even to their original art. So there's a whole new world over there, a whole new area which needs to be explored. And it's happening very rapidly now. So I think it's very important to understand and to sort of immerse oneself into this and try to understand what is happening and how can one use it for one's own career. Basically, I think with the NFTs, you're monetizing your art, and it makes it sort of, even a digital version, it makes it a unique thing, which is quite interesting. So you can actually possess that. There's a lot to be done with that, but I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's go to Fawaz next. Now, Fawaz, I know I've been talking to you for the last few weeks, because we've both been very excited. And I think you've also had a very interesting journey into the digital space. And you have a lot of interesting stories about how you've been trying to monetize your art here in Bangladesh and your print works. So can you tell us about some of the challenges you face in a country like Bangladesh when you're trying to monetize your art?
Yeah, thank you, Misha Ali. Everyone can hear me. Hi, Fuad bhai. So my name is Fawaz Rob. I'm actually essentially an architect, but I'm an artist as well. I'm a printmaking for the last 2 decades. So this is very interesting. You have to understand that printmaking is a different form of art where you create a plate or a matrix, and then you kind of take print out of this plate. So in the printmaking, I mean, long before this visual art, you know, we were already facing this challenge to make people understand that what it means of that prints. Because, for example, a watercolor artist or an oil painter, they only paint one and they sell one, right? In the printmaking business, what happens is that you sell multiple copies of this. That's why the prints are usually cheaper. So, for example, from one plate, you can print like maybe 20. And, you know, the professional artists, they always prove that, okay, this is the only 20 of them that I'm going to sell. And they sign and you know, seal it, and these 20 are as original as everything, because nothing can be the same, because each of the prints has a slightest of the variation of change. But when we were actually with the printmakers all over the world, they have a problem when people say, oh, but this is not original, you know, because there is another copy of it. So, you know, for like last 500 years, the printmakers have been trying to make people understand the understanding of what is original and what is not, you know. And then when we come into this new place of the NFTs, you know, I myself and we are very excited. I must tell you that I'm a curator of an online artist collective. It's called Aleph Studio. So what we do is it's exclusively for all the printmakers of Bangladesh. So we are gathered here, and that's why we are very interested to work with the organizations to make them NFTs. Because we found that there are a lot of great artists in Bangladesh. One of the problem is that they were never taught, not in Charukala, not in even in the real life, that how to monetize their art. Meaning, like, you know, like art always, even architecture, I would say, that people take it for granted. Any creative things, they say, oh, I want to get a free bar design kore de, or make me a free, or, you know, why should I pay for your art? You know, like, sometimes I tell my friends, like, listen, do I go to your office and tell you, like, oh, give me a free advice? So, you know, there's a very strong connotation in Bangladesh about like how much or if the creative field should be paid, you know. So we found that all these young artists, they're extremely talented printmakers, but they were not having the platform to monetize their art, or people were always questioning them, like, why is there multiple copies of your art? You know, so I think NFT is a fantastic initiative, and you know, this will be the future of the art world, where it is very clearly understood that, okay, yes, there will be copies of your art, and there is the more copies the better, but at the same time, there's monetization and making them non-fungible tokens related to your art, which will make it a very original copy when you own it. So yes, with Misha Ali bhai, I am actually embarking the journey to become one of the pioneers of the NFTs in Bangladesh, and I wish to take all my artist friends along with me to this new platform. Thank you.
Thanks, Moaz. So Estela, I know we've also been speaking recently, and you've also had some experience with NFTs. So why don't you also tell us about your story? I know you're a very established graphic designer. I've seen your designs in, you know, a lot of different media, such as even food packaging, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, tell us about yourself.
Hi, everyone. So I am essentially a graphic designer, and that's like my bread and butter. But in my heart and soul, I want to be an artist and illustrator. I think I'm an illustrator. That's how I should define myself. And I do delve in like digital art, and I also my medium is it's a bit of like everything. It's mixed. So experimenting with like digital mediums as well as like collage and hands-on things. So I basically downloaded this app called Clubhouse, and it's basically it's like podcasts that you listen in on, and you can also participate, and you can unmute yourself and you can like participate, and there are different topics, there are different chat rooms, and it's like, it was like when I first joined, it was just the most amazing thing. I am an illustrator. I work alone in my studio all the time. I don't have colleagues. So it was like having a bunch of artists from all around the world as your friends while you're working, listening to their stories and their journeys. So while I was doing that, and I was like, you know, super into this like whole world, making digital friends. And then so slowly there were like other rooms that were called NFTs and crypto art. And so I got curious, I was listening in on it. And again, mind blown, because they were talking about things I had no idea about. And the more I learned about it, the more I wanted to be part of it. So again, like this whole world, it's just a lot to understand, and every day things are changing. So it's like you have to really like keep educating yourself every day. So, and I was hooked, like by the time I like, you know, got a little bit of understanding of what was happening. And then I realized I'm not allowed, or like it's not legal for us to even have like have a wallet to like start making NFTs. So I was like super, you know, like down about that. And then I was reaching out to the NFT community. And they were giving me all, and what's really great about it is though, once you do connect with people that are making NFTs, they are super, super helpful. Like they'll be like, oh, you need cryptocurrency, I'm gonna send you cryptocurrency so you can mint your work. Minting is like tokenizing, authenticating, the whole process of that. So it was really like interesting. Like people were like offering me Ethereum, the currency that everybody was using. But fortunately, I bumped into Julian, who's from Silly's. I think he's one of the speakers in a different panel. And so he was super into it. We were both talking about it. And then he was like, oh yeah, let's mint some of your work. I was like, okay, I've got nothing to lose, why not? So we opened this banner called Artists of Bangladesh, and then I talked to 2 other people, and I minted like 3 of my pieces. But there's a lot of things to understand before we enter this space. Marketing is huge and like so important. You have to be prepared to like constantly pitch your work on every platform possible, from like Twitter to like all the social medias, to getting on Clubhouse and connecting with other people and building community, which is one of the most important things I find here, because it's all about like lifting each other up and like building that community. You supporting other NFT artists, and then, you know, them supporting you, and also a huge space for like collabs. I think that's something that would really come out of it, is like different mediums of artists, or even like artists in the same field collaborating, because the more you can work your individual networks together, the better the result will be, which is something I am understanding after I minted all those. And now I'm like, okay, the next time I do it, I have to think about a collection. I have to think about something people, like building a story behind your work. It just can't be like something you put out. You have to really think about the story. You have to really think about how you're going to market it, how you're going to launch it, how you're going to hype it up. That's the other thing. You have to really hype your work up, so that there is like, you know, general interest, and then, you know, like you do countdowns to your launch, to when you actually drop the work. So all of those things. And yeah, so I'm really excited that this is happening and that I'm part of it. So thank you, Misha, for having me.
Sure. Super glad to have you here. So you were talking about marketing and hype. So I will now turn to Sharjeel Karim of Interspeed, one of the original hype masters in the industry. Why don't you tell us from the industry perspective, like, you know, what's been the journey? I think the industry has really changed in the last 20 years, and it hasn't necessarily been a positive change from what I know. So how do you think, tell us about that, and then tell us about, you know, what Stella was just mentioning, that there are going to be a lot of new opportunities for different types of marketing through NFTs.
Yeah. Hi. Hello, everyone. So I'm Sharjeel. I'm managing director of Interspeed, for people who don't know. And I have been in advertising, well, for longer than I can remember, really, since 95, 25 years. And now it's really, really interesting to hear all of your perspectives, because, you know, as an agency, we sort of amalgamate all of your talents and art and skills. So, you know, we are really delivering, or we're dealing and trading in intellectual property and creative property. And as Fawaz Bhai rightly pointed out, he took the words out of my mind in terms of, how clients still don't think creativity is something that, that's sort of like, that's actually created. So it's sort of like thin air. Now, it has been the case and a frustrating for everyone concerned in the industry that we've been kicking the can down the line. So this exploitation of intellectual property or creative rights, the clients exploit the agencies, and then the agencies kick it down, exploiting illustrators and musicians and artists and filmmakers and so on and so forth, because at the end of the day everyone's sort of looking out for their bottom line. So it's been a very frustrating journey in that sense, where real creativity wasn't valued right. So, for example, a piece of 30-second TVC is actually costed, estimate, the value is actually calculated by the production costs and how much input that goes into it, rather than actually the quality of the creativity or the end product. So there is no premium, there's no valuation of a good quality work being valued higher. Forget that. But even in terms of really being able to monetize ourselves, as you rightly pointed out, from the advent of the digital agency or the digital marketing or the internet explosion of, let's say, even the last 10 years, one of the realities that the creative agencies have faced with is that as far as sort of the science of finding the consumers or finding the people, there's only really one agency right now, and that's Google, and that's all you need. Or you know what I mean, the big tech platforms. So you might say that is the negativity that a lot of business models in the creative business have struggled with. However, if we really take a step back and think about that, actually sort of is, I think, a benefit in the end, because it frees us. So that's really the media buying part of it. And what it frees the creative agencies of doing is actually monetizing their creative product, their intellectual property, their strategy, where it used to be a struggle even before. And so here is where, from our business point of view, this is sort of like, wow, a godsend. And we will say, without really even knowing much about the technology, that, just tell us where to sign on the dotted line and let's make this law. So we can actually, in a sense, I'm trying to sort of, because each and every one of you started, Preema and Istela and Fawaz Bhai, as well as Vinita. I'm just actually summing up everything that they've said, that in a sense, the great thing about tokenization or the blockchain technology or NFTs is that anything that is valuable, of intrinsic value, whether it's tangible or intangible, can now be valued, priced, tokenized, monetized, and even further used as an asset for finance. So that gives us hope that the creative model, whether it's an agency or whether we're putting out content, because really from a creative agency point of view, what we are going to end up being is great content creators. So and we will still be bringing in artists and musicians and print makers and digital artists, put our strategy on it and try to create some value, new value for clients. So I think as far as there is a technology or there is a system where we are not being cheated of our time and our creativity, I think there is real great hope that we can actually focus on being proper creative companies rather than worry about where the billing is coming from. And so that's just yes, as I rightly said, it's all about when can the exploitation be stopped and when can we stop kicking the can down and really make a living doing stuff we love, really, rather than stuff we hate.
Thanks for that. Amazing. I think one of the interesting things that you touched upon is, Google. what has happened now is that 10 individuals on Earth and control pretty much everything we do, where we go, what we say, what we see, you know, and that's a huge, huge amount of power that we're giving to 10 people. And these people, probably most of them are Americans, and they care nothing about Bangladesh or this part of the world, very frankly. So I think blockchain technology is the attempt, or the, you know, attempt to take that power back and give it back to us, the people who, you know, create that content, or who live our lives and have that data, gives us the power to take our data back. And I think that's really the beauty of it. Now, I think the fear is that, you know, these companies will get in, as they're already doing, as you're seeing with the hype with NFTs already. Big companies are getting in, they're forming platforms, and again, they're just monetizing on it. So that's something I think we hopefully we will be able to solve with blockchain. We have another chance to do it. And Fuad, I think I left you for the end. Why don't you, of course, you probably need no introduction, but tell us a little about yourself, the journey you've had. And I know you are now living in the United States, so you took a decision to move from, you know, the center of your art world or your music world somewhere else. So tell us a little bit about that. You're on mute. You're on mute.
All right. Hi, everybody. You can hear me now?
Hi. Yep.
Okay. So I'm Fuad. I started working as a professionally producing records and albums about 23 years ago. I'm still getting used to the fact that it's been 23 years. Professionally, I have launched the careers of many pop artists. I've made music for TV, radio, American TV, Bangladeshi TV, films, and sports, World Cup songs, World Cup theme songs, and whatnot, the whole nine yards. Um, the This for me is sort of like a second lifeline, and I'll tell you why. Because around like early 2000, like maybe 2003, 4, 5, 2005-ish, when I was already working in Bangladesh professionally, launching artists, we we had a chance to get on board with the first wave of digital music distribution. So back then, we would distribute music on CDs, compact discs, and everything was physical distribution. All the revenue would come from CDs being at the stores. At that time, when people came to us who had vision and said, you know what, this is not the bigger picture. Go into the future of this is digital streaming and YouTube and whatnot. And most of us who were in the industry in Bangladesh working, we thought, we don't have time for this, because we were so consumed in the system that was already there. And I remember most of the contracts we did sign, we didn't really care about the digital side of distribution or royalty coming in from music, streaming or YouTube. And that's been one of the biggest regrets professionally. And I feel like this might be a second chance to get on board with this. This is, I would say, the third phase in digitization, and hopefully we can figure out together how this can benefit us, how we can sort of capitalize from it. Because as a lot of other people have said, like, not getting paid for your work is a big issue, not just in Bangladesh, but all over the world. And maybe NFTs are they will enable us to get what we are owed. Yeah, that's about. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Fuad. So, I think we've been talking about NFTs for about 35 minutes now. Now, I just want to, from a layman's perspective, tell me what you guys, each in one sentence or a couple of words, what is an NFT? And I'll start with Sharjeel, please. You're on mute.
So since I was trained as an economist, I know what non-fungible means, right? It's non-swappable. So the uniqueness is what's what the key factor about this technology. So the fact that you can tokenize something and sort of like watermarking it with a smart blockchain contract, and that's the interesting part where you can actually not only tokenize a sort of a non-tangible asset, even physical, digital, or whatever. I'm not sure whether you can do goodwill. Can you do goodwill? So it's a unique signature on a intangible asset, and then obviously you can monetize and tokenize. So that's my answer.
Preema, you wanted to add something? Preema?
Yeah, I was processing that. For me, it's kind of like I would like to think that because my mind go crazy when I think imagination. So if the feeling could be also tokenized, you know what I mean? So it's like a very abstract, eccentric way. So, but the thing is, it's actually bitmap, as you said, that we have the mark on it, like a seal on it. That and copyright the whole thing, because this is token is actually, as Sharjeel said, that same goes for everybody. What we meant by that, but my concern is, will we able to do it in a sustainable way, and how we can carry it forward, and এটাকে আমরা কিভাবে ডেভেলপ করব, কিভাবে এটাকে প্রিজার্ভ করব, and কেমন করে এটাকে অথেন্টিক রাখবো, even though it is a non-tangible hallmark or visuals or anything. So এই মানে কনসার্নটা হলো আমার ওখানে থাকে যে আসলে আমরা কিভাবে ইকোসিস্টেমটা ডেভেলপ করব টু create the whole industry like that. So এটা না আবার ওরকমই হয়ে যায়, লাইক আমরা যদি জায়গা মতো না যাই, লাইক মার্কেটিং কে করবে, ওটা কে হোল্ড করবে, কিভাবে কমিউনিটি ডেভেলপ করবে, কিভাবে শেয়ারিং হবে, how we can control and how we can monetize it, that's also a concern part. So এইসব আমাদের ডিসকাশন থেকে I think we can also highlight those points that we understand what is NFT, what is digital cryptocurrency, what is crypto art, but how to connect the dots, even in here, it's, I think, very important, because we again lose the dot, we can't be in the community or spread it through within the community and without, beyond it. So how we can keep it on track and be in it to strengthen the whole situation is a concern also.
Makes sense. So Fawaz, I'd like to turn to you now. I think you have recently really taken, grasped this whole digitization and NFT thing, and you've been working on even changing your art style. So why don't you tell us about what you're planning to do, or some of your plans with what you're doing, and the limitations because of, let's say, the legal status of cryptocurrencies in Bangladesh, and how you're going to overcome that. You're on mute, I believe. You're on mute.
This is a sign, physical sign, that I have designed, and there's a Japanese artist who made it for me. And to each of my art, I seal it. So for me, NFT is that unique signature to any of the art, because in the present day, in the new world, there is no longer something is just in physical entity. Even the architecture, everything is being digitized and shared instantly. So any physical objects transformation or metamorphosis to digitization is just inevitable. It is happening in our generation, and it will just continue to grow. So there has to be something that says that this was unique by the artist and it was not copied by any other form. So for me, that NFT, that stands for. Secondly, what Misha bhai asked me, this in Bangladesh, artists have long been like brutalized by the the ad agencies or the corporates or these things. And I have to tell you something very personal because I was involved with it. I've seen like during Azam Khan, when he passed away, there was a big concert that says like in the memory of Azam Khan, right? And Azam Khan's family is related to our family. And later on, I actually asked them like, how much of that money did you guys get? And I was in that concert and I saw like there's tons of thousands of people actually came in. We all paid ticket money. And why is that the family at the end never really got much of it? It's because the infrastructure that Fuad Bhai has in America, it has never developed in this part of the land. Like over there, I had friends in the States where he wrote like one music, and then he gets $26 every time it's played in the radio. So they have developed this infrastructure, which we never had. So in Bangladesh, actually, I know tons of artists, like literally hundreds of artists over here. And then we eat together. And every time I see that an artist cannot survive, even the best of the artists in Bangladesh cannot survive just on his art. It's simply because that these organizations have not developed, and people think that they can just copy things, and Fuad Bhai's music, they can use it for their 30-minute ad, or they can use my art. I mean, there's sometimes people have shown me that even magazine have used my art as their cover, because the mindset is that they can just take it. And even let's say they take it, or Sharjeel Bhai's company just takes my art, later on there is no precedence of me to say that, oh, this ad agency actually robbed me. But when you have this NFTs, what I think of it as in the blockchain, it at least guarantees, if not anything, even if it does not monetize you or give you money, it actually makes this precedence that this was Fawaz Rob's art 100 years ago, and it was used, and this was his art because it has this signature. So I think this sort of understanding needs to be widely discussed among the artists over here, that they have rights, because they pretty much just, if somebody comes in and says, okay, I will give you 10,000 taka, they'll say, okay, great, I will do it. But they are not aware of their worth and these things. I tell this story, and Misha Ali, who knows this story. So this barrister guy, I shouldn't mention his name. So he says, and he asked me like, oh, I want to buy this art. I will be the next attorney general. So give me your art. I said, well, this costs like this much. And he says, no, I will not give you money. I'm the next attorney general, and you should give me this art for 1/10 of a price. So I told him like, listen, I don't really care if you're the next attorney general or the next minister. I will not give my art for free to you or in a lower price. And the guy, the way he was conducting, and he's not the only one, is that people of authority, they automatically believe that that these creative things are almost something that does not need to be paid off, and they always use this. And as a young architect, I used to use this. Oh, you design for me for free, and I will promote you to my friend. So these kind of things needs to go down, and I think that we are very late in creating these organizations or creating this infrastructure for ourselves. Whereas in the digital platform, this blockchain technology and NFT can give us that edge, that when artist says, no, it's mine, and if you want it, or if you use it, you have to pay me. So this way, it creates a very strong precedence for the artist for the future. That's all I have.
Thank you so much, Fawaz. I mean, what I'm really hearing from everybody, and I don't think it's a Bangladeshi problem, that art is not valued. It's and especially because of digitization, I would say art has really diminished in value, because now you can get it for free. So who's going to pay for something that they can get for free? It's human nature, right? So, unfortunately. Vinita Appa, can you tell us about, you're physical artist. We've talked about this. You don't exist in the digital space. So what about for you? What has your experiences been in selling your art in Bangladesh and elsewhere? You're on mute.
Yeah. So I was just hearing this conversation and I thought it's so interesting. The whole thing about the authenticity is also comes into question, I think. Like whenever I sell a painting, I provide a letter of authenticity. And in that letter, actually, I write, the image cannot be transferred at all. So this is, NFTs are actually addressing this also, this question of authenticity. So that is really important. And another thing, I think the NFTs, you know, what is great is that suppose you sell a piece of art through which is an NFT. Again, when it's sold, you can always ask for a royalty for 10%. Usually with an artwork, if I sell a painting which is $100 today, and if it is sold again in the secondary market, maybe for 1,000, I will not get a penny out of it. But if it was a link to an NFT, I could get a 10% royalty on it. So I think this will benefit the artists a lot also. And about my experience as an artist, well, I've been painting for the last 30 years, exhibiting all over. I've had 25 solo shows all over the world. I feel in the West, people really, it's easier. People value art more. In our countries, there's still, it's growing. It's going to take time. In India, I feel, you know, this is all happening faster. I think Bangladesh, it will also happen. But again, I get the same attitude that I've been getting from the other people that, you know, art shouldn't be that expensive. They don't, people will readily use your images without giving you any royalty. There's not enough respect for it, and awareness about, you know, international standards, about the right of the artist. I think that is what is missing. And I think it will take time to educate them, the audience, the public, the collectors. But it will happen slowly. We need to keep trying and pushing, and building up the art market is also something which has to happen in Bangladesh, because it's still at a very, very, how would I say, there's a lot of scope to grow.
So let me just
diplomatically.
Sorry to interrupt you. Finish, please.
Yeah. So there's a lot of scope to grow, but of course the rights of the artist need to be, you know, taken care of, I think.
Thank you. So it's interesting. I was looking at this panel, and all of us are, except for Istela, are on the older side. And I was just thinking that if I really think about artists now and musicians now, are there young musicians really coming out in Bangladesh in this market anymore? And I can't think of for example, a new band that, you know, that is really, I was just talking to somebody else was asking me the other day, what's your favorite band now in Bangladesh? And I was like, at least I haven't been exposed to any new music here. And I'm wondering, is it that the industry is actually dying and going in the other direction, where young people now no longer see this as a viable option for a career? So Istela, like you, for example, you want to be an illustrator or you want to be an artist, but you're a graphic designer. So any thoughts on that and the progression of young people into this field now?
I mean, definitely anywhere in the world, it's hard to sustain yourself as an artist. And I used to think it's just like Bangladesh people, you know, even as a graphic designer, to like quote what I would quote for any kind of work, I have to educate the client so much. And now that I've built a portfolio, and now finally after years of working, I can be like, you know, I wouldn't settle for a lower value. Like I finally have the confidence to be like, okay, you don't want it for this, goodbye. So it is, and like I am part of a community of younger artists who are doing the same thing. We're like, you know, they're animators, stop motion artists, graphic designers, illustrators who are living on this. But we're not minting money, but we're getting by. And I think the biggest thing is just a passion for work, which keeps us going. And that's so much more than just, you know, really making, I mean, we are making a living out of it, but yeah, definitely there are struggles. But wait, what was your question again with the younger artists?
It was basically, do you still see a lot of younger artists coming into this career as a full-time, from, thinking that they can make it, as opposed to,
Yeah,
as opposed to like monetizing it from the very beginning? Yeah.
Yeah, I think we are paving the path for that, for sure. I see so many other people, would write to me about like, okay, Apu, how do I do this? How do I, make it as a graphic designer? I think I have been I've built like I was part of this collective called Milkshake Collective, which was finally giving young artists a platform where they can sell their prints, products, merchandise, and like to kind of see like, okay, my work can actually sell. People actually like what I'm making, and there is a market for it. And then, find your own, work your own network and find ways to, take advantage of that or like make it happen. In terms of NFTs, could I pose a question?
Yeah, sure.
So I was thinking about, because it is not something that's still legal here, and the whole concept is do not have middlemen, and that it's like artist to collector and then collector to collector, and then you cut out all the middlemen and you benefit from this process that is so transparent. But because it's not legal here, how do you think it'll work out for Bangladeshi artists who want
So
to be
interesting
part?
question. We've also got a comment here from Zuhair Irfan. How will you be creating NFT for Bangladeshi artists? You will need Ethereum and cryptocurrency is banned and illegal. Our artists might end up in jail for this. So Fuad, any thoughts on this one? I mean,
So one of the things I was thinking about, and I was definitely not thinking about this from, okay, this is not a nonprofit organization, but I started a company with a couple of friends, and the target is to basically make money for everybody. I'm not doing it for free, but we will be signing Bangladeshi artists, and because it's an American company, the Bangladeshi artists don't have to deal with NFTs. They don't have to deal with cryptocurrencies or anything. We will basically sell the art for you. You will get paid. As the middleman, we will take a commission, but most of the money is going to go to you. And as someone mentioned it before, if this art's, if a collector buys your art and then resells it based on your contract, you can also make money from that sale. So this is something we're working on. It's very exciting, and that's part of the reason I'm here, because I see you guys here are very tech savvy and you're very knowledgeable about what's going on in the rest of the world, but you're not even 0.001%. We have thousands and thousands of amazing artists that have no idea how to digitize their art, or don't even know that this exists, or don't even understand that you can sell the physical copy to somebody and then also probably sell the digital rights to somebody else. And so we will be trying to, we'll reach out to everybody as much as we can, and hopefully with my track record as an artist, I will not come off too much as a pushy salesman, because we'll keep everything very transparent. I wanted to say something about Fawaz Bhai. He was mentioning that how things are in America in regards to like royalty collection. Let me give you guys an example. So I've been working in Bangladesh since like early 2000s, with making music for companies and like Coca-Cola, 7-Up, whatever it is. And then for the last 6 years, I've been making music for American TV shows, and I get a paycheck every 3 months. Every quarter, I get a decent amount of money from music that I have released in like 2015 on like keeping up with the Kardashians. It's not just the NFTs that's gonna make things better for us. It's the system where this will be tracked, right? So for example, right now, ASCAP, they have the technology to digitally track what music is being used wherever, right? There's a content ID. You can't just upload anybody else's song on YouTube and monetize it, because they can catch you doing it. There's a content ID. So I think this NFT will be very similar to that. And the future of this entire thing will be where it's just like how you can't, put up somebody else's song on YouTube and claim it's yours. Anybody won't be able to use any digital image anywhere online and get away with it. So I think it's not just tokenizing your art, or it's not just minting the NFT. It's also the infrastructure to track and collect the money, and that everything has to come in, and everything together will make a change. So that's the exciting part. And obviously where to reach me if anybody's interested. Just knock me online, and let's see if we can help each other out.
Can I interject something? Can I say something about Istela's question?
Sure, of course.
We have our cadet college brothers in the Bangladesh Bank and the Finance Ministry. So I asked them, like, so what is the deal? Like, why are you guys stopping this blockchain, and why are you guys stopping this NFTs and having people thing? So, and he told me very frankly, he says, like, one of the reasons is because we don't understand it, and what you don't understand, you fear. And the understanding of the Finance Ministry and the Bangladesh Bank is very much clouded by the precedents that is happening in the Western world. And they saw that China has strictly cramped down on this blockchain technology and mining and cryptocurrency. But China's agenda is very different, So Bangladesh, for example, not just for the artists, for many other reasons, Bangladesh can benefit like huge, like millions of dollars in revenue they can generate from their, not just from their creative, but also tangible materials if they open up this thing. But actually the understanding inside the government is even not very clear. And another thing is, it is actually not illegal to make an NFT. I could be wrong, but what I understand, it is illegal to have a cryptocurrency account. It is illegal to have a thing, but this is the brave new world. In this web sphere, you can actually have digital names as, like, so to connect yourself, Istela, with that account is almost impossible. Like, they cannot prosecute you. I mean, of course they can prosecute you if they don't like you, but legally they are not able to prosecute you, because that digital, it's like having a, what my parents' generation, they used to say, a Swiss bank account. It's a numbered account. So also in a lot of NFT spheres that, it is not possible for Bangladesh government to prosecute you for having a non-named account in the internet.
So let me just interject here and say that we're not asking anyone to do anything illegal. And Fawaz, although you may be technically correct, I think that still owning cryptocurrencies is illegal, and you can be eventually tracked. That wallet, you will have to put money into that wallet. That money is going to come from an exchange, a crypto exchange, where in order to put real money into that crypto exchange, you're going to have to give your identification and other details about yourself. So it's no longer that the world of cryptocurrency is absolutely untraceable. In fact, it's completely traceable these days. So everybody, please be careful. Don't do anything illegal for sure. I'd like to I think we've talked about a lot of great things. I want to get last thoughts from you guys. Preema and Sharjeel, I want to hear your two views on, okay, so we can make NFTs, let's say, through an agency or an outside company, but there's no market for that here in Bangladesh, because obviously cryptocurrencies are illegal and nobody owns them, and you can only buy NFTs with cryptocurrencies or digital assets. So how can we as Bangladeshis market to, let's say, an audience outside Bangladesh, whether it's NRBs or whether it's foreigners who want to invest in Bangladeshi art? Preema, why don't you start, and then we'll go to Sharjeel. I think you're on mute. Yeah, go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think knowledge is very important, and learning also. So this whole thing need to have a better knowledge, and in terms of artists should have better knowledge. Creators and the whole audience and the community should understand how does it work, and what benefit it would give to the society. So the platform like this or other, like I created a platform which is parallel to Bangladesh Brand Forum. I am a co-founder of Bangladesh Brand Forum, and also I launched Bangladesh Creative Forum back in 2014 that has been activated this year, which this platform would cater as a learning platform. So I think there is a we try to engage government policymaker as well, but definitely they don't come on board and participate. So we are pushing them to come on board and to learn new things about digital space. It's important that policymaker understand that this kind of revolutionary what you call situation, so that they can be aware of what their part to be engaged in, and give the artist the power to have that authentic wallet, or what we are discussing that could be a problem. It could be illegal, and it is illegal still till date. So I think learning and knowledge is very important. And also, we don't need a middleman, but we do need agency to market. That's very important. I think individual marketing is very important. Artists would do it, but how we will do it, it's again, learning is there. It's very important how to market it. We need agency, new agency. It could be the agency that's still there, or there are a lot of agencies are coming on board. I noticed in other countries there are a lot of lawyers, like policymakers in terms of law enforcement. They're involved in this, like what do you call, like lawyers, personal lawyers. They're involved in this kind of NFT situation. They deal artist to artist. Like I have a lawyer, so he will be dealing with me, or she will be a part of my whole business thing. So, so this is also important that we engage individually or collectively the how to maintain the, what do you call, forgot the word, like a
Compliance.
yeah, yeah, that we can maintain that. We have to have within this situation, we have to have our own ecosystem to go in a broader way, to flourish it and to practice it, and also make people aware of these, that how this work. So I think it's learning, and constant learning is very important, because it's never enough to understand these things, and it will be growing in a bigger way, because as Vinita mentioned, that before we know it, it just came into our life, before we were even aware of it. Boom. So like my art has been, my oil paintings, my original paintings, not selling because merchandiser are using it for book cover, merchandising product. So when they use this, then the original painting is not selling, because there is a big gap of what you call gap of price. Because my, like for an example, my cover design is sell much more higher price than my original one oil painting. So this is very interesting for me to observe. Last 5 years, I'm selling my cover design, my painting as cover or merchandising product design 10 times higher price than original art. So it's very interesting for me. I call myself an entity of experience and also experiment. So my original painting now in Bangladesh, I can't sell because they are so less in price compared to the merchandising. Repeating use is much more higher price for me than my original art. Like for an instance, যদি আমার একটা কভার ডিজাইন হয় 10 টাকা, একটা বইয়ের কভার যদি আমার একটা পেইন্টিং ইউজ করে, তাহলে যদি হয় 10 টাকা, পেইন্টিং এর দাম হয় 1 টাকা. So it's quite interesting for me to see. So how we will really determine this? It's very important, and who will determine this? I noticed in Italy, in France, in a lot of other countries, there is an agent who determines this. How you evaluate one piece art or multi, what do you call, একের বেশিবার যদি ইউজ হয় সেটার কি প্রাইস, আর একবার যদি ইউজ হয় সেটার কি প্রাইস, or how we can quote it. So আমরা এখনো সবাই, well, I don't know, we are doing it whatever we feel like, and if we do it like whatever we feel like, is it gonna be sustainable, or if, or we should have a roadmap, or we should have a agenda, or we should have some kind of policy through this, how to do it within our community or within the bigger community. So I think it's a very important thing, because now it's, for me, it's totally shift, because my original piece are all there and my reproduction are all out there selling higher price, much more higher than the original piece. So it's also a sort of NFT that I started. For me, it organically started 10 years back. But then again, I don't know how to put it. So I think it's again learning, knowing, and exchanging views is very important to understand where we are and where we can take the whole thing forward.
Great. So thank you. I think you made a very interesting point. I think it's up to you guys as artists to, rally the community here in Bangladesh especially, and be able to convince, regulators and other stakeholders that this is what we need, very, very frankly, to save the industry. So I think last thoughts, Sharjeel, I want to end on a positive note. And I think it's really cool. Sharjeel, your son is an amazing digital artist as well, really talented. And can you tell us about some of his plans? And he's an American, so all this legality stuff doesn't apply to him, very luckily for him. So tell us about how he is viewing this whole NFT revolution and what he wants to do.
Okay, where do I start? Okay. So he's 14 years old, and he's been, drawing and doodling ever since we can remember. So yeah, he's really into, for kids of his generation, he's grown up with Minecraft and the usual stuff. So he is quite serious about his art, and he's mashallah quite talented, and he's exploring all sorts of art. It's not just digital, and it's not just obviously animation is something that sort of captivates the young generation these days, and he's no different there. In fact, it's really interesting to see how the kids these days work. So they live on this Instagram community, Proco challenges and this and that, and they're getting live feedback from other artists about what to do, how to solve their design problems. So even using apps and things like that, which you think that, for example, I mean, he does these Blender renders not to make animation, but to actually create the background spaces for his big sort of pieces. So yeah, he's quite serious about his art. And interestingly, I remember in our days, and Misha knows how old I am, but in our days, or even I would say 10-20 years ago, if your kid's sort of showing talent in music, or if your kid's showing talent in art, you sort of like encourage it, of course, but you also say, yeah, let's have a backup plan, son. Let's do an engineering backup plan, or a business backup plan, which is usually the thing. I remember in my time, I said I wanted to study philosophy, and all my funding and financing was withheld from my parents. It was like, nothing doing here. So, but the career plan is something every parent is concerned with for their children, and especially in a landscape where grown-up parents actually don't have any idea what the crypto future and the blockchain future is coming. But the kids naturally know, thankfully. And so, when I had a discussion with him, when Misha said, hey, talk to Amago about the stuff, because, he's into digital art, I know. And so, whereas, I had to Google everything up and then do my reading. He was already sort of conversant, and where digital artists on Instagram, for example, or Reddit, they have big subgroups on Reddit, talking about all of this stuff. So one of the things, so coming back to my story of like the difference now, is that I can confidently, so his mother and I have actually decided, yes, we've encouraged him so far to do art. He's decided pretty much at the age of 14 that he's not gonna, whether and whether he's going to art school and to basically, further it. And so, yeah, this time, I'm a lot more confident, not having to say, hey, let's have a business plan and an engineering backup plan and a blah, blah, blah. So, because I think, as I was saying about our intellectual property problems in the creative business, that if something is valuable, if people value it intrinsically, and art is obviously something like that, then the future is great. If it can be monetized, the future is great for them. And as you rightly said, I want to bring another point. Also, this is sort of also addressing what Preema was also saying. We have no idea what this art form will end up looking like, even in the digital space. Forget about the tokenization of it. So there's art, there's digital art, and then there's token versions of art. Or so, the house, I mean, it's mind-blowing to see how seamless that they're moving from a graphic design illustration program to the game environment to a little animated experiential kind of audio visual end product. And so we have no idea, we're seeing, silly memes going for millions of dollars. Okay, fine, this might be the bubble. And that's basically showcasing what can be done with tokenization. But what is tokenized, whether it's actually a physical piece of beautiful art like Vinita has behind her, or a sculpture, or whatever art form, or the Minecraft skin that he creates, I think, I'm just relieved a lot, that you can really pursue a career, given the fact that the democratization of value will come to Bangladesh also. Or, yeah, I'll send him to Misha and be an American.
Thank you for those words, Sharjeel. I think any other last thoughts from anyone? We have a time for one more comment if anyone wants to say anything.
Yeah, I was thinking it's really interesting, but I also feel with these NFTs, if Bangladeshi artists are using them, the audience doesn't have to be Bangladeshi, which is maybe not necessarily as informed as the other world. I mean, they can reach out to the whole world. So this is a big advantage, I feel.
Yep. Anyone else?
I think that one thing is like the legalization issue. We should be educating ourselves. Like in this modern world, even if you're an old artist, you constantly need to update yourself because the laws are even changing, because this is such a new thing. So yes, of course, I mean, we should not be doing anything illegal. At the same time, we should know what is legal and what is the boundary of legality, because it is also changing around the world. But I see it as a very positive new world. I think, like, I'm a teacher than North University, and as a teacher, I see that the young generation, they are much more informed than us. They are much more progressive than us. And in our time, let's say, as Sharjeel Bhai was saying that, oh, be an engineer or doctor. That was the conventional sense of the parents. I also became an architect because I really wanted to be an artist, and somehow it was formed into, okay, become an architect, so you have a backup plan. But I think the new generation, and I also believe that, that they don't have to form into such a formed way that, oh, become an engineer, or if somebody wants to be a musician, says, oh, why don't you become a sound engineer? So those kind of morphation is no longer required, because the next world is so much more beneficial to these artists. And you can see that 15-year-old kids making millions of dollars from art. So that also gives hope to this young generation that, yes, being a creative has its potential, even in Bangladesh, because the audience is no longer Bangladeshis, the audience is worldwide.
Great, thanks. Stella, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, sorry, is that cool? Yeah, I just wanted to add my 2 cents from being being part of the community, just being in conversations with so many NFT artists for a while now. And like once you study the space, you're gonna see, like, so you all mentioned that there are, like a screenshot of something with a filter that is selling for a lot, and there is scope of like being a little, questioning, like how are things valued? Like, yeah, it really, I think part of that kind of played into my journey, why I checked out for a little bit to like really understand it, because I feel like I jumped in too fast. But what I'm understanding is that it's so important to build your story as an artist, right? So like people are buying into a piece of your journey rather than the artwork itself. So sometimes you'll see the artwork doesn't look much at all, and I've seen so many of that, like being like, okay, shit, am I even an artist? Like questioning my, place as an artist. But so much of it is just building your story and building your brand as an artist, so that people are buying a piece of your journey. And one of the things that I actually heard on Clubhouse that like always plays in my head is that keep doing what you love and your audience will find you, rather than you searching for your audience. So yeah, I just wanted to leave with that. Oh, one more thing for traditional artists, something that I learned, again, just talking to so many NFT artists, people that are doing paintings and traditional art and like wondering how to digitalize it, or like how to enter the NFT scene with that. A lot of people are using very simple apps like Motion Leap, to kind of like animate little bits and pieces of your painting, and it's super easy. And those things are like selling off really, really fast. So, and it's very easy to do, something that you maybe Vinita can explore. Would be interesting. Yeah, that's about it.
That's awesome. Great advice, Estella. Thank
you. Thank you.
Okay, well, I mean, this has been amazing. Fuad, did you want to say anything else at the end?
I just want to end off on a funny note. So based on what Sharjeel Bhai and Fawaz Bhai said, so, I come from a background where my parents, my mom and my brothers were also, leaning more towards the engineering and, doctor or lawyer or whatever. And when I didn't take that path and I moved to Bangladesh, and I said, you know what, I'm going to go produce music. That's what I want to do. That's my passion. And the last thing my mom said, okay, jao, kintu shikkito samaje cholte parbo na. So, I came to Bangladesh. I followed my heart. I did what I did. And this is almost 16 years ago, probably. Fawaz Bhai here, he was still at NSU. He was a professor. So he calls me up, and I don't know how we met. And he said, come talk to my class, the guest lecturer, Hishabe, or whatever it is. And I said, sure, I'll go. And then on the way there, I called my mom. I said, you remember when you said, just guess where I'm going right now? NSU just talked to students to give a lecture or whatever. So yeah, this is something that happens, and I hope we're not going to do the same thing to our kids.
Right. I remember that actually, because that I used to invite all the artists, musicians, artists, because I said, listen, especially for architecture, these kind of influences are very important, because if you just take architecture as an engineering form, and that's why you have all this block housing, So yeah, I remember Fuad Bhai, and then he actually gave a very nice speech, and instead of just promoting his music, he was saying that it's not just music. Why, if you have something creative in it, and you have to learn the tools to make it happen, and it's not just that, oh, someday the inspiration is going to come and you'll become an artist. It's not like that. That you have to really work hard and manifest your inspirations. So yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
All right,
Amazing
everybody.
stories.
It was great being here, and good luck to everybody.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you so much to all the panelists. It's been a really fun panel.
Thank you so much for
Thanks for having
inviting
us.
me.
Thank you, guys.
Learn so many things. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Ciao.
Estella, I would like to contact you. Will you send me your number?